Well, tonight is our fifth in a series of educational programs dealing with the social, economic, environmental, and health and safety aspects of QOLSD. Our speaker tonight from Clear Lake, Iowa is Chris Petersen, and I'll let him tell us a few things about himself and what he's involved in.
Okay.
Chris?
Yep. Thank you. A little bit about me. Been a farmer all my life, raised pigs all my life. I started raising pigs as a junior in high school, had my own hogs, and that's how I bought vehicles and got dates, because I had some money. Anyway, got into farming. Very challenging over the years with the monopolies, and as you all know, family farmers trying to get a price. But hey, I'm 64 years old, one of the survivors, still farming part-time. As for me, got married in 1974. We got two wonderful kids, a son and a daughter, who are married off, and we got two wonderful spouses and three grandkids. I went through the 80s, and I was trying to get established. I worked a full-time night job in town for 20-some years and farmed in the daytime. That's how I got established farming. And the 80s were tough on us, but we survived that. But I didn't get much politically involved. The 90s come along, and everything's starting to go on with animal agriculture and row cropping. I decided enough was enough, and I kind of come up with my own advocacy plan, and that was standing up and speaking out. Getting involved in local politics, which led to state politics, which led to national politics. Getting recognized by the media. I had 60 Minutes on my farm in the year 2000. Different things like that, and I go out and tell the truth and call them out, I guess, for what they're doing, which I'm going to talk about to this country and rural America. I'm past president of the Iowa Farmers Union. I was involved with the top political stuff going on in Iowa for many years with a political party. I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican, as long as you don't like factory farms. That's what we all are here for. And I'm on the national board of OCM. It's called Organization Competitive Markets. We do a lot of work on monopolies that take over of agriculture, antitrust stuff. We're trying to get the checkoffs reformed. We got some legislation in Congress, different things like that. I'm vice president of Main Street Alliance, which is Iowa Citizens Action Network. The Main Street Alliance is the national stuff. All small business, including family farmers, fighting, trying to get a place to sell our stuff, equality-wise and everything else, and survive. On the board of ICASH, Iowa Center for Agricultural Health and Safety, out of University of Iowa. And then all the advocacy stuff. I fight factory farms. I go around and help people. I do some regional work for a group called Social Responsible Ag Project. You can Google us. I'm very proud of the group and who we work with. You want more education, get on the site. And so, that consumes me these days, and I care about rural America. I care about its people, so that's why I do what I do. And so I'm going to talk about three things here. I'll talk about Iowa, of course. Going to talk about the differences between family farms and industrial ag, point some of that out. I'm going to talk about your community. I see correlations here with Clear Lake, Iowa. Going to talk about the environment a little bit, and going to talk a little bit about where I think we're headed with this issue and these problems. So, the first thing I want to say is, I understand you guys been involved in this a few years now, but stay focused, get ready. They're coming, and various reasons why. Y'all know what happened in North Carolina lately, and they're throwing all their contract growers under the bus. This started a few months ago. They want to move everything to the Midwest, my belief, and that means Iowa, South Dakota, Minnesota, surrounding states, and so they're doing it to their contract growers, and I don't agree with that form of agriculture, but they're farmers, so I don't like farmers getting screwed. I really don't. And so here we are. Iowa's got major problems, and everything that's happened in Iowa can and probably will happen here and in other states where they move into. Right down the local level, neighborhood impacts, quality of life of everybody, not only the people who have houses out in the countryside. I don't care if you're a family farmer with a farmstead, or somebody from the city who went out and bought the 10 or 20 acres, whatever's required to build a house, in rural. You're all going to suffer. And out of all these issues, because I am a farmer and I bleed rural and I was raised rural, that's the thing that burns me up the most. The social stuff, the splitting of the neighborhoods. You end up with two armed camps pitted against each other. And this is all done by outsiders. Big money. They're coming into our culture. They're ruining it. They're ruining what always has been, we call Iowa nice in Iowa, but I guess you could say rural nice. People caring about each other, helping each other. There's some disagreements, but nothing has ever come along like this. And it's not agriculture. It's industry. Nothing close to farming. What I believe. And I guess as far as getting the groups organized locally, the thing I'm seeing a lot these days, the last year and a half, is the news breaks that, oh my God, there's 7,000 head, 5,000 head, 24.99 is a popular number in Iowa. I understand you guys, 1,200 or something?
2,400.
2,400. News travels fast, and what I'm noticing in the areas I've been is, it used to be, a number of years ago, people would say, oh, that's a Republican issue, or that's a Democratic issue. And, depending on who's involved in it, some people won't get involved. What I notice anymore is, these things start to, the permitting process and everything else in these neighborhoods, people don't care if you're a Republican, you're a Democrat. It's just the thought that we don't want this darn thing in our neighborhood. Yeah. And that's a good sign. To me, that's progress of getting past all the political BS on all this. And I, in our area, I'm guessing it's true out here, where the family farmers, your real family farmers, they don't like these things neither. And they really don't want them, but they're part of the farming community, so a lot of them don't say anything. And we got to get past that. You know, I never was one of them guys. I always spoke up, and that's why I do what I do today. And I see the damage, and in Iowa, we have over 13,000 factory farms, and that was the beginning number. And then all at once the DNR figured out, and the Des Moines Register, that, oh my God, we missed 5,000 of them. So here we are, 17,000 and whatever. And about a year and a half ago, the Iowa DNR had done a big impact study, 76 pages. It's all on the internet too. Saying that by the permitting process that's now in place, and the lay of the land, and how the master matrix, the scoring system is used these days, Iowa could end up with 45,700 CAFOs. And we're already, the figures vary, but it's one of two numbers. We're either 49th or 50th in water quality. And unless things change, that's where we're headed over time. And, Iowa's a toilet. Don't say it can't happen here. Iowa's a toilet. Our rivers are the flush handles. And, it breaks my heart to see the rural pollution going on and the impacts of it. And I couldn't believe that when that came out, but it's factual, 76 pages worth. So let's talk about Iowa a little bit. To address these things, Farm Bureau passed 519, I think it was in 1995, which basically stripped local control from all the counties in Iowa, and it became a statewide permitting process. And they also stripped the right to sue for a while. We got part of that back in 2002, and then a couple of years ago they watered that down again because of the power of certain politics and Farm Bureau and pork producers in the state. And the point being is the citizens are the ones who suffer. And so, there's always been groups in Iowa very active against this CCI, Iowa Farmers Union, which I was president of a few years, trying to get legislation passed, different things like that, doing outreach, helping people, organize, finding information for them, this and that, but that wasn't enough. So what we started about 3.5 years ago, we laid the groundwork for, I guess you'd call it kind of a super group, and I and Diane Rosenberg of Jefferson Farmers and Neighbors, with the help of other groups, Socially Responsible Ag Project, CCI, others, we decided to get all these groups under one umbrella and prioritizing and working together. And so here we are today. There's 26 or 27 groups. It's called the Iowa Alliance for Responsible Agriculture. We have a few national groups put their name on it, like Food and Water Watch, Socially Responsible Ag Project. Then we have some of the state groups involved in it, like Sierra Club, Iowa Farmers Union, groups like that. But the vast majority of these 26 groups are local, rural groups who have either fought CAFOs or are in the process of fighting them moving into their neighborhoods. And, you know, it took a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of patience to get everybody organized. And you know how it is sometimes when you're trying to bring people together. So, we got that segment accomplished, then we need to prioritize everything, and our number one priority is a statewide building moratorium on CAFOs. Until, one of the things we want, our second priority is getting the master matrix revised. That's the scoring system that the DNR uses to score points for, you know, they're becoming permitted to put up these CAFOs, and it's so loose you can drive semis to it. You know, there's probably a dozen or a few more, over thousands and thousands, who have been rejected over the last few years. You know, they all pass, and so that needs to be really tightened up real bad, and you know, try and put a stop to the bleeding in rural Iowa. And new figures just come out. We got over 23 million hogs. That just come out a couple of weeks ago. Was 23.5 million. It was 22 a year ago. The projections are 30 million by 2020. Pigs and more pigs. And so, but then you throw this in, and then these politicians wonder why rural is depopulating, why the roads are horrible. You know, they bust up the roads, and they don't pay enough taxes even to cover the roads, because in Iowa we have a pit exemption tax. Every pit underneath every CAFO in Iowa is exempted from the tax rolls, because it's called a pollution control device. So they don't pay their fair share of taxes. It's hundreds of millions of dollars a year. And so, you know, and we don't have the kids in school. You know, the school districts are merging and shrinking or going out of business, and the kids are split up. It seems like splitting up rural is very popular, whether it's neighborhoods or kids or whatever. You know, that's what we face. Our culture is being destroyed because of a bunch of greedy outsiders coming in, trying to make a buck, a lot of bucks. And colonization is what I call it. And then you get down to the ownership of the hogs in Iowa. Between, you got Smithfield, which is now owned by Communist China, and you got JBS Pack, the Brazilian packer who bought out the hog division of Cargill a few years ago. Between them two, they own approximately 50% of the hogs in Iowa. Foreign owned 50% of the pigs. So, let's think about it. Do they really care about our rural culture? Do they really care about our neighborhoods? Do they really care how the pigs are treated? Do they really care about the workers? I ask them questions all the time. I'm never getting answers. I'm not accusing them of anything. I'm just asking questions. And they're turning our farmers into serfs, chore boys. I don't like that. And I guess they call that, Farm Bureau calls that modern agriculture. I don't. And that's the difference between industrial ag and family farms. Some of the things that the industry does to the animals, you'd never catch a family farmer doing that to his livestock, such as putting pigs in gestation crates. really. So our quality of life, depending on where you live in rural Iowa, certain pockets are more built up with CAFOs than others. But if you get in them areas where they're going up, you don't have a quality of life anymore. And tell you a little political thing. This happened in 2003 during the Iowa caucuses, and we wanted to try and get these presidential candidates to understand what it was like to live in rural Iowa by these things. So what are we going to do? So we started out with the lesser known one, and who wasn't doing good in the polls. And so we got little Dennis Kucinich to agree to this. And we took him on a tour, 3/4 of a day. And we ended up in central Iowa, where there were probably 12 hog buildings in a row, and big lagoon, a couple of times the size of a football field. And you get out on the side of the road, you know, stop here, we need to talk about this. And so we got out, and I and others gave them the speech about the neighborhood, you know, the truck traffic and the noise. And I get this complaint a lot from people that live by these things. That being the constant squealing in these things, all the mechanized feeding equipment and the trucks going up and down the road day and night at the industry. And personally, in my farm, on my farming practices, I go out 6 o'clock every morning and get the paper out of the mailbox and open that door. If it's all quiet, the pigs are happy, it's going to be a pretty good day. That's how a family farmer raises livestock. And, you know, they make fun of happy pigs, but it's true. Well taken care of pigs. And so you hear that, a lot of that complaining from neighbors that live by these things. And so it got down to where, yeah, those people that live in that house, you know, they can't hang their clothes out the line. And, they go somewheres in the car. They can't open their windows, can't go somewheres in the car because inside the car smells like it. They take a vacation, they open their suitcase, it smells like it. And it was getting close to the end, so I looked at little Dennis and I said, so what are you doing the rest of the day? Oh, I gotta be here in an hour and a half, I gotta go there and here, and I says, gotta change your clothes along? He looked at me funny. I said, you're gonna smell like this, you know. Bingo. That's the moment he got it. And we took Howard Dean on one, we took Carey on one, who else that year? Edwards, you know, and they all had